Good evening. Welcome to the RSU14 Board of Directors regular meeting on May 20th. The time is 6:30. We are at the Raymond Broadcast Modular. Mr. Principal. Sorry, Mr. Superintendent, can I have a roll call, please?
You sure can.
I'm looking at principals.
Kate Bricks.
Here.
Eric Colby.
Present.
Jennifer Fleck.
Here.
Diana Freuslin.
Here.
Marge Cavoni.
Here.
Pete Hensler.
Here.
Jen Moore.
Here.
Don Dillon. Jerry Keane Dwyer.
Here.
Iana Maciel. Sierra Yost.
Here. Okay, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, there are no adjustments to the agenda. If there's anyone from the public who would like to speak about something that is not on the agenda tonight, you're welcome to. Seeing nobody, I will close public participation.
I see somebody.
Thank you.
I mean, there was no one speaking. I didn't mean I didn't see anybody. There's nobody.
didn't learn that one.
Okay, first on the agenda are appointments. If I could have a motion, please.
I vote to approve the following appointments for the 2015 to 2016 school year. Helena Goyette, teacher, grade 5, Manchester School. Danielle Danini, school principal, Manchester School. Andrew Patton, school principal, Wyndham Middle School.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Sandy, you want to give a little?
Yeah, well, so this is a great opportunity. The board decided that it would be nice to have new applicants come before if they can. Not everybody probably can make it as we have new applicants come to the organization for next year. But we have 3 great people here. They've been interviewed, and we're really excited to have them be part of the RSU14. And I don't think I'll go into the background necessarily, but I can tell you that they all have great tributes, and we're very excited to have such high caliber people apply to this district. What's amazing to me as I go through all the interviews that I've been through this year with particularly the administrative positions, people are really seeking out RSU14 and applying just to this district and not other ones. That's not the case with everybody, but it seems to be a theme this year that we really have heard a lot about, and I think it's a tribute to the RSU14. So it's great to have them here tonight, and we appreciate you coming. If you want them to say something briefly, that's up to you.
I think it would be great, only because, and the thought behind this is because when there is a turnover, and especially in administrators, it's nice for the board and it's nice for the public to get a chance to see, okay, that's what that person looks like. You know, because usually we just put their name out there and, you know, hope you bump into them someday, you know. So if you say your name, it's fine. But just so you get on camera, if you could come up, just introduce yourself. If you want to say where you're going to be, that's fine. Yeah, you know, this is kind of like a welcoming.
Yeah, she's home. This is home, so she's.
I know.
Okay, I'll touch Randy's laptop. I'm Danielle Danini, and I'm appointed to become principal at Manchester School starting in July, and I'm finishing up my 18th year at Manchester School. Started as a special education teacher there, had been an ed tech prior to that in a different district, and have been the assistant for about 7 years now. So it's a privilege, and it's been an incredible amount of support from the district superintendent, all the staff I work with, and the kids. So I just feel very, very fortunate and happy to stay here. So thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Thanks.
Good evening. I'm Drew Patton, appointed to Wyndham Middle School. Pleasure to be here. I'm extremely excited. I started about 13 years ago at the Sanford School Department, age 21, as a long-term sub. Was hired there to teach 7th and 8th grade science for 7 years. Moved up to become the assistant principal for 3 years. After that, moved up to become the principal of Sanford Junior High School for the past 3 years, and really sought out Wyndham for what Sandy was talking about. What I've noticed just being here for a short amount of time in working with Sandy, working with the interview committee, and just observing for 5 minutes tonight is that you guys have a very, in my opinion, positive culture. It's very apparent in terms of the way that people speak with one another, the types of questions that are asked at the interview panel, the warm welcoming I've had from other administrators, as well as folks on the interview committee have emailed me, welcoming me to the position. So I feel extremely fortunate to be here. I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone. I'm nervous. Sanford is all I've known for 13 years. So excited, nervous at the same time, but very, very happy to be here and grateful to Sandy and the interview team for having me come on board. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm a little shorter.
My name is Paulina Goyette. I'm appointed to be a 5th grade teacher at Manchester. Last year, a year ago from this month, I graduated from the ETEP program at USM. Throughout the ETEP program, I was fortunate enough to do 3 big internships, one being at the primary school, one being here at Jordan Small, and the last one I was at the middle school in Wyndham. So basically, I've grown and developed within this district. I love this district. The past year I was fortunate enough to be hired as a long-term substitute. So I just I've been at Manchester all year. I absolutely love it. It's a great environment, it's a great school, and I'm very fortunate. And as Sandy said, when I was applying for schools and positions this year, I was really only looking for Wyndham. It's just, I love it so much. I've grown with it, and I'm excited to be here. So, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Okay, great. We're all set? Okay, all those in favor? It is unanimous, and welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay, but you also, if you would like to, I don't blame you. Also,
No.
if you would like to depart, feel free. Believe me, we don't get insulted.
How long you gonna be, Randy? We might want to see your job.
Okay.
All right, we could go. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
Thank you for
much.
coming. Okay, next on our agenda, we'll have a presentation from Randy Crockett and Deb Hutchinson on the Raymond Elementary School. If you want to come to the podium, please, and introduce yourself. We know you. But
You just did.
I know.
Yes, please. This thing move.
Oh, thank you.
I have a short PowerPoint, just helps me stay organized with my thoughts. Not always an easy task. So we thank you for the opportunity to share some good work that's been going on at RES this year. And given about 20 minutes, we figured we'd focus in on the things that have been going on to move us forward in a learner-centered and proficiency-based way. So we've been on that journey for a while, and every year we learn a little more and find things we can improve upon and try new things and back up and try different things. And so what you have in front of you is just a quick handout. The front page, or what I will refer to as the front page, I guess depends which way you look at it, is what Deb and I presented to the staff of both schools in August when the school year started, and trying to help focus in on 3 specific areas. And then, as you may have noticed already, there's some things that live in more than one box because they impact in more than one area. So we're going to kind of look at just a couple key components and give you some background on where we are with those. There's more there that we're just not going to have time for. And also, Deb is going to give you an update on the playground project. I'm not sure if Bill has been able to do that for you recently, so She's pledged that she's not going to retire until the playground is done. So I told her, I hope she's not in a hurry to retire. 'Cause this is a big project. She's not, that's good. Am I doing anything wrong, or? Wake it back up. Doing something. It thinks it's working.
Somebody just shut it down and turn it back on, and it's.
Whatever works for you.
Not touching. Take it a few more seconds and then it should come back.
It worked before you came in, just so you know.
Big,
It's doing something.
getting there.
All I had to do was scare it.
Through the magic of technology.
Yeah.
There we go.
Lucky.
Bless you. So the goals, areas of focus are on one side, and the belief statement is something that we worked on last year and then needed to kind of back up and revamp a little bit and rethink some things. And so we actually finished it in October, and I did include that with my budget material a few months ago, so it's probably not totally new to you. The two areas we want to focus in today are peer observation and what we've been doing with the use of Jump Rope, which is a grading and reporting platform. There's a lot of research that tells us that when teachers work together, the teaching improves for everybody involved. And one of the components of working together is observing each other at work. And unfortunately, that's not an easy task in teaching, because when you're teaching, they're teaching, and we have to figure out ways to make sure the students are still getting their instruction and free up people to go observe and things like that. So it sounds like a simple concept in theory, but it's something that has been around in education for a while, but is hard to implement steadily. And so we just decided we're going to make it work. We're going to focus on it and build on it. So one of the reasons that we're moving in this direction now is a lot of work that the staff has done around growth mindset and what that means for themselves, and also what it means for the students, and how do we incorporate that into everything we do. Obviously, learning from each other. We've got some people that are really good at certain aspects of proficiency-based teaching, working in the same building with other people that are good with other aspects of it, and they really don't know how good that other person is. They haven't had the opportunity to see them. We get to see them, but they don't. So trying to find ways to have people connect and learn from each other on their strengths. And another big focus for this year and last year and probably every year will be, how do we become a more collegial staff? And so, what we discovered a couple years ago was that we have a very congenial staff. They support each other, they help each other, they dive in when somebody needs support and backup with anything. And that's great, but that until you start talking about practice, until you start talking about teaching, it's more of a superficial it's a friendly thing, but it's not necessarily improving your teaching. And true sharing's in quotes because that's a term that is used by Judith Warren Little, who's written several books. And anyway, the risk folks use that as a model quite often. Talk about true sharing versus just being congenial, collegial, and then really getting to true sharing and actually building units together and helping each other improve your practice. So that's where we would like to be. So the first step with that was doing some peer observation. So we gave them, the teaching staff, two choices basically, two different models. The traditional model is one that they're comfortable with because it's what we use for coaching when you have a mentor, when you're a new teacher, and it's also what they're used to with working with us through supervision evaluation. So The traditional model is you sit down together and you say, what do we want the observation to focus on? And the person who's being observed is the leader in that. I really need some feedback on such and such. And then someone comes in, does the observation, tries to collect that information and then give it back to them, and you do a post-observation. So that was a more comfortable setting or model, I guess, to a lot of staff. The other model, we said, let's try doing the risk model of peer observation. And we had a few teachers who were part of that first pilot group about, how long ago, Deb? 4 years ago. That they went down to Sanford, coincidentally, and were part of a training group down there, and they were our pilot group back in RSU14. And so they had that experience a little bit. And so several people stepped up and said, I'd like to try this risk model. So we, with Christine's support, were able to hire Dan Joseph for a couple of days as a consultant, and he works for risk. Some of you might know Dan. He lives in Wyndham, and he used to be a principal, but now he's working for Risk in St. Joe's. And so he came in and met with me, and we talked about these goals, and we talked about focus areas, and then he just kind of zeroed in on some things to work with. So we had 6 teachers, and unfortunately it got bumped back because of snow days and bomb threats and all kinds of things, but he eventually came, I think, in February or late January, and spent a day with those 6 people, and they went into classrooms, and then they debriefed with each teacher that they visited. So we had people that volunteered to be observed and to be observers. And the idea was to get them comfortable with that model, which is a little more targeted and focused. You use the risk tools to provide the feedback. And so the people that were involved in that felt it was a good first step. They're interested in doing it some more, and I'm hoping that that model will become more comfortable to the entire staff. One thing that came out of that was a bit of a theme that Dan kind of subtly at first identified and then made it pretty obvious to all of us. And that was that we were doing some things from our risk training that the whole district had a few years ago, but we were kind of doing them at a superficial level. So we had the basic idea, but we weren't really going deeper on it. And so met with Dan again and looked at the belief statement and said, okay, this is what we've decided we really feel is important in our school. And how can you help us connect some of these identified areas with the beliefs that we want to focus on? So that the things on the belief statement that are in bold, I kind of forgot they were in bold because that's what we shared with the staff again when he came back and did a half-day training with us. And I put those in bold for a reason because that was our focus areas. And I'm like, oh, I meant to put it back to normal type. But then I realized that might be helpful to you. So I left it there. And that is, these are the areas we talked with Dan about after the observations that he had already discussed with that first group of teachers, and this is where we wanted to focus our training. So he has helped us go deeper as a staff with some key concepts from risk that we thought we'd implemented pretty well, but we found we could really do more deeply. So one of those is having a shared vision for the classroom, where the teacher and the students talk about what they want their classroom to be like. And we had some of those elements because of responsive classroom, which has been a practice at RES for many years and is used by the whole staff. But it wasn't exactly where it needed to be. So that was one thing that he wanted to spend more time helping some of the staff with. Another risk tool is called your Code of Cooperation, and in some places Code of Conduct. But the idea with it is to have the kids to help decide what's important in the classroom. How do we function best as a classroom? So not having it being so teacher-driven, more teacher-facilitated to come up with what do we want our classroom to be like this year. And the last thing was standard operating procedures, which if you say SOP around the district, people know what you mean. And we found we had lots of SOPs, but a lot of them were just teacher-made SOPs. So this is what we need to do, this is what it is. What RISC is telling us, and what their research and the information they built this whole concept on tells us, is that the more students buy in, the more students talk about it, the more you use it, reflect back on it when things aren't going well in the classroom, the more motivated they are to follow them. So folks have been kind of revamping since that training and looking back at how they created some of these things, talking to the kids some more about it, getting some feedback. And he also gave us permission to say, if you don't need to have that procedure posted on the wall anymore because it's just second nature, just retire it. Just move on to something that's more needed at the moment. So the whole idea of plan, do, check, and adjust, which we all kind of knew, but were we actually doing it? And he helped us refocus on that and get some more clarity. So it's had an impact already with some of the staff thinking about, maybe we need to go back and think back through it all again. How are we doing it? How can we make it more effective and make it more learner-centered? So we spent a lot of time just focused on sort of the behavioral aspect, the classroom culture aspect of school with this. It wasn't about, we didn't unpack standards, we didn't look at academics, we looked at how we run our day, how the day goes. So that was one of our main focus areas. Deb, you want to add anything to that, or okay? She helped me before, so I would remember all these things. The other area was jump rope, which in and of itself, I mean, learning a new computer platform, we've had that experience, can be frustrating and difficult. And so the teachers have worked really diligently just to understand how it works. But also within this, it made us revisit what our standards were and what proficiency is, and is that a formative assessment? Is that a summative? So it brings up a whole bunch of other much heavier philosophical and instructional questions, and it's hard work. It's complicated, it's messy, and sometimes frustrating. So our initial training was more like an overview, and so it got them a little bit of a feel for it, but not really the how-to part. So I'm very fortunate to have had some teachers who kind of just jumped into it. No pun intended, but really it wasn't.
Nice. Very nice.
They were willing to be sort of the trailblazers and take a risk. And it's like, okay, if I click on this button and I close this window, what's the worst thing that's going to happen, right? And they were the ones that would send the help request to jump rope and so forth. Jen Potter, John Powers, in particular. John actually works at Jordan Small, but he's also helped out at RES and at Wyndham Middle with some folks with jump rope. So they, without somebody on the staff willing to kind of take that lead, we wouldn't have made as much progress as we did. So there were a lot of adjustments, and there were a lot of new learnings, and we also learned on the administrative end, okay, we have control over certain things, but we want to make sure we know what we're putting controls in for, because these decisions then have ramifications for the staff as they're trying to learn how to use the program. So there was a lot of conversations with Christine and other administrators in the district who had staff that were working with jump rope, what are those controls going to be and so forth. Even just how to do a progress report and do all those types of things. We had more discussion around formative and summative assessment, and at the elementary level, a lot of the assessment is formative. It's there to help the teacher and the student know where they're at, but it's not, the grade isn't the important part. And so at what point does something have to become summative? And we're still working on that question, because that's where it kind of goes into jump rope. And we say, okay, at this point, they're proficient or they aren't proficient. And it's hard to decide where on that continuum you want to put those points. So that's an ongoing work in progress for the district, not just RES. We, our first attempt at trying to define guiding principles, which are in the state regs, if you will, and how that could connect to iCare, which is a sort of a, I don't want to call it a behavior program, but it's basically 5 important things that we ask them to do. You want to tell them just a quick little, what iCare is?
Oh, well, that's,
You need to come up to this thing.
Thank you, Randy.
well, pretty much, I've been, what's this, in my 22nd year at RES or in the Raymond school system, and since I've been there, we've used the iCare program, and it's based on 5 basic rules. The primary school has the 3 Bs, just everybody has them, but the 5 rules are, the first one is we listen to each other, the second one is hands are for helping, not hurting, the third is we use iCare language, the fourth is we care about each other's feelings, and the fifth is we are responsible for what we say and do. So those are pretty much what we guide our day by. So if we see someone misbehaving, we said, are you using your hands for helping? If we have to redirect them, or are you listening to someone else? Are you using your iCare language? And then they are, when we catch children doing those things, we will give them tokens, and we will put their names on the board. So that's part of our positive behavior support system. So those are our 5 iCare rules.
Thanks, Deb, because I'm not sure I could have hit all 5 every time. So how do we take that, something that's working well, and kind of merge it with guiding principles, which are much loftier, bigger goals, but also to give kids feedback on that and give parents feedback on what areas their child is doing well with on that. So, I mean, basically, what's laid out on our focus areas for this year isn't going to change a lot for next year. There's still a lot more work to do, and there's some things in there that we never really got very deep into this year. And some of it's connected to district work that's ongoing, that will be happening this summer. So, you know, I've already kind of said to some of my staff members who are feeling a little fried and frazzled with some of the stuff that the mantra next year is just to refine it, do it better, understand it, you know, and put all these proficiency-based practices, make them more embedded, make them more really, so we can own them, not just the kids. So that's sort of the 2 big areas I wanted to focus on. If there are any questions on that, I'd be happy to field them.
I have one. Are you guys actually implementing the jump rope?
Yep.
And in Sandy, is that gone district-wide?
It looks differently in every building. Randy, his whole staff took it upon themselves to do it. Other schools, there are teams that are doing it. So it's really a pilot year. Running into a little glitch K through 3, really still working with jump rope to make sure it can really do what it needs to do at that grade level. So they're kind of developing this software both between RSU14 and South Portland school system. And so they're just working with us to get feedback and upgrade the software to make sure that it's really ready to go, hopefully a year from now.
Okay, that was going to be another question, man.
Yeah.
But are you guys using the parent portal?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, and Deb suggested I check and see how many folks have been in the portal. So at RES is 15 parents have used it out of roughly, well, we have about 200 kids, so less than that, fewer parents than that, but still probably about 10%. Middle school parents tend to use it more because there's more that gets entered at a faster pace, and the students aren't always as clear about things sometimes, so it helps. But that's something we're going to try to use it more rather than paper progress reports. You know, please check the portal, you know, and if you need a paper copy, we'll get it to you, that type of thing. But it seems like from the parent perspective, I haven't heard a lot of complaints from the parents that have used it. They're able to navigate it once they get the right login information, good to go. So that's
Nobody said it, like when it was John Powers did the presentation, right? It was John that did it, right? So, because sometimes you're in the middle of it and it says, has not met, but it's because it hasn't been, we're not to that point. Nobody's talked about that, or they understand that.
We wrestle with that.
Yeah.
And as Sandy pointed out, at K to 3 particularly, it's that continuum of learning, and some of it is very concrete things. You know, I can count to 20.
Right.
You can count to 20. You can't count to 20. There's really no 2. There's no 4. It's just yes or no. So that's a harder decision to make. Is that something we want in the reporting system, or do we need to look at the broader standard and just include those components underneath it? Yeah, I mean, it isn't perfect yet.
No, it's a lot of work. Let's talk
Yeah,
about it.
and like I said, it does bring up other philosophical discussions about grading, about what needs to be included and where, and we're going to be looking at habits of work, so we're reporting out on those things separately from the actual assessments in the content.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah,
I think.
I think it'll be cool though. When we,
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question or anything for Randy?
Okay, I'm going to let Deb bring up speed on the playground.
I just wanted to let everybody know what we have. You've been so kind and supportive. This whole group has been very kind about this. So I'm hope that you have heard that we did not get the 2016 approval for the IRT through Colonel Birch, but she suggested that we reapply for the 2016-2017 school year, and Bill has already done that. And really could just roll it over. He just had to change the date, and so that was really good. The other thing that has happened is that we have some of the DEP stuff back. That was a vernal pool survey that they had to come and do, and we were in really good shape with that. They said that actually the area was not as impacted as they thought it was going to be, so that was really positive feedback for us. The things that we've been doing as a group is that we have really established a playground, RES Playground Expansion Committee, and those parents have met, and we've got a couple of things into place, and we had a pickleball tournament that Lisa Smith from RES helped to organize, and I was really surprised because I thought I played in the pickle tournament. I'd played once, so we didn't win any games, But there were 70 or 80 people that came from all over the state of Maine, and it's just this really culture of pickleballers that will come, and we raised over $2,000 for the playground. The other thing that we're doing is the PTO has agreed to give up part of the Hannaford Dollars fundraising program that they have done and turn it over to the playground committee. So Alyssa Messer is in charge of that, and so that was really also a money maker too. We're going to have a positive presence at the 4th of July celebration that the town of Raymond is having, along with the PTO, so that we can put out the word that, you know, what we're looking for. And also when we have Grandparents' Day on June 5th, we're going to do that. So there's a grassroots effort to have this happen for our students. So does anybody have any questions about that?
What's pickleball?
What is pickleball? It's a combination between tennis and ping pong. So you hit a wiffle ball with a paddle that's a little bit bigger than a ping pong paddle. And the net is probably about 3 feet tall.
Interesting. I'm gonna Google it when I go.
You should. You need to Google it because it's really very interesting. And there are, it's quite a group of people. I was amazed how many people are playing pickleball. Anybody else have any questions about that?
Well, that's good news.
Yeah. I'll keep you informed of what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Great, we'd appreciate that, thank you. Okay, great, thank you. Moving on, report of the secretary, a motion to approve the minutes, please.
I move to approve the minutes of the May 5th, 2015 meeting.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comments or questions on those minutes?
Chris Hill is not present.
wasn't?
Chris Howell was not there for the expulsion.
No, I mean, I usually do.
So if we could have a friendly, motion to amend the minutes to remove Chris Howell, that we could still go ahead and approve them and she can just fix them.
So friendly moved.
Friendly moved.
Friendly moved.
Okay, we have a second?
And a friendly second.
And a friendly second. Okay. All those in favor of the amendment? Okay, it is unanimous, and now all those in favor of the amended motion?
I'm gonna abstain because it was an expulsion hearing. I don't really feel like I.
You want, yeah, and Jerry has abstained. Okay. Minutes of May 6th.
I move to approve the minutes of the May 6th, 2015 meeting.
Can I have a second? Thank you.
Do
We have a
need to amend
motion?
this too?
Oh,
Who
No,
seconded?
they fixed it beforehand.
They
No,
did?
that is fixed. On the copy,
Okay.
so we have a motion and we have a second, and
Who seconded that, Marge? Thank you.
and the minutes that we have are the correct version. Thank you for letting her know ahead of time. Is there any other questions or comments on those minutes? Kate?
Policy, adult ed and strategic planning, reported out in committee reports. I don't think. Where are the committee reports? Here it is. Facilities, withdrawal, I reported out on policy, I reported out on SEA, and you reported out on strategic plan. I don't know if they have,
Page, what is it?
it looks like it's 6 maybe?
Oh, I got it, yeah. Okay, define. Did you get that?
Policy, SEA.
Did you?
No, there was nothing, we hadn't met.
Did you?
I'm sorry,
Policy, SEA, strategic planning,
correct.
that's it.
Okay, again, motion to amend the minutes of May 6th as so stated.
Thank you.
Second. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment? All those in favor of the amended motion? It is unanimous. Alrighty, committee reports. First up is the let's start at the other end. We'll give Jerry time to bring that up. Is there anything from the policy committee?
Yes, there is.
Girl.
Policy committee met with adult ed, along with, Mr. Prince and Mr. Crocodile. I just love saying that name. Had to say it. And we reviewed policies and procedures and talked about handbooks and, talked about a little bit about crisis plan and what needs to happen, and so it was a very good meeting. Also met with all of the principals on the report card policy, which is quite meaty and Sometimes I feel like I'm in over my head. All of those folks, all the administrators talk about this all the time, and I'm just like, oh no. But it's really good work. As Randy has mentioned, some of the new pieces for the reporting system will be habits of mind and guiding principles. And I think on the 23rd, Christine is going to be working on the rubrics for those. And so then you'll be able to see what those look like. There was discussion during that meeting, ironically, that the hope is to have this all accessible online so that that is the mode that parents and students access. And of course, for those who don't have the capability of computer work, hard copies could be provided, but down the road, that's the goal, is everything online. We will be meeting tomorrow for the graduation policy, and we'll be talking about weighted grades and how they see that shaping up, and we'll be embedding the capstone project that we have all agreed upon. And I just am posing this, not that I want a discussion, but based on the information that we got today on the internet about opting out for Smarter Balance, well, for testing in general, and it was just really interesting because when I read it, it could be, if I'm reading it correctly, the district could say it could be part of the graduation policy that you would have to take these tests. And I just was pretty amazed by that. So I'll bring it up tomorrow when we talk about the graduation policy and see what those folks think. And of course, once we get a draft, you'll be able to weigh in on I don't even know if we'll consider putting that in there. I would venture to say no, but we'll see. Oh, that's it for that. And then the Sebago Ed Alliance, we met a couple weeks ago. We're down to 25 students, and services are being maintained. It's actually almost one-on-one. I think there's 26 staff and 25 students. There's one district that hasn't been as aggressive in getting their students placed, but we are not one of those districts. We are not that district, and as Phil reported out, great efforts have been made to find suitable placement for our for students. And so things will be winding down. Everyone's being very careful to maintain services till the end of the year, and once school is done, then inventories and closing out the books and all of that will happen, and then we'll find out how much in the red we are.
Kate, of those 4 students, are there any of them that are still kind of in limbo? I know he was working on it.
I think they're all
Oh, good. Have homes.
found a home.
Great. Good.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you. Facilities has not met, right?
No, we were scheduled to meet tonight, but that meeting had to get changed due to a different meeting. So looking to reschedule that amongst ever-changing schedules. So date to be determined.
Okay, thank you. Finance Committee, Jerry?
Okay, so we did meet tonight. I didn't know we'd bumped a meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I was not aware of any bumping that was going to be happening. But we did want to get together and talk about year-end finances because we are coming into end of June. So I have a lot to report on. I'm not going to give you all the numbers like a ballpark. I will make sure I get a copy of this and send it out with minutes. But I don't have extra copies of this right now. So we always talk at the end of the year about an estimated balance that might be, you can figure out a budget, but you eventually don't always spend all of that. Ideally, you don't spend over that. So we will have a year-end budget balance. Conservatively, Jake is suggesting it's going to be like $1.4 million. That's sort of, and that's a very conservative number. And then we usually talk about trying to prepay some lease payments out of what we have. We've looked at some facilities year-end purchases that Bill has requested. And so when we prepay some of those the lease payments, the recommendation from Jake and Stacy was about $360,000 to do some prepaying some lease payments. And then Bill had made some requests for some additional, not additional, but some funds for facilities. There's a whole list of them. Again, I'll make sure you get this list. I'll get it from Stacy in terms of some things that already have been committed, but a few things like shingle removal, return fan motor replacement, a couple of things like that, some siding replacement for the primary school. So that is about $121,000. And the list that Stacy gave us, it's a little confusing this year compared to last year or other years, because probably when Don has done this, the balance does not include the real school transfer, and this one does. So when you see this, this looks like it's new. It's always happened before. We spend a certain amount, we are charged a certain amount for the real school, which next year may be totally different, but this year anyway. And we budgeted $294,000, but it actually was only $250,000. So that's on here as that transfer, and it's coming from this balance, but it was actually part of the budget. It wasn't really, it's just different from other years. So the fund balance is estimated to be about $640,000. Just as an update with what Kate just said about the Alliance School, from what, this is again, it's very preliminary, what Jake told us was, and Stacy, is there's about perhaps a $336,000 deficit. And that would be divided by 5 schools. And so for us, it'd be about $67,000. And then we typically have a carryover for tax purposes of $428,000. So for Jennifer, who has the calculator and looks at numbers, that would leave us with about $145,000 to add to what we also have as a fund balance. But this is very conservative. He thinks it will actually have more than $1.3 million. So we discussed this as a committee. I don't believe we've ever voted on this. It's really a recommendation of the Finance Committee. So we as a committee are recommending that we do the year-end lease payments, and that we do what Bill's asked for in terms of facilities. We have to do the real school transfer. And Stacy and Jake, are hoping that the Alliance School will come out of this year's budget. They're sort of still trying to figure that out. As Kate said, they have to sort of figure out the year end. So they're hoping to get that done before the end of the year. So we're recommending that if they can take it out of this year's budget, take it out of this year's budget. So that's where we're at with those kinds of things. There's a variety of pieces of paper. One piece of paper talks about the expenses for the SEA and how they came up with the $336,000. So that will be there as well. So that's year-end finances, options for purchase, Alliance School, real school update. Now I have to find where I actually took notes. Okay. Jake is working with the Department of Education now that there's a bifurcated system at the real school to determine the tuition for the regular ed alternative program and the special ed piece. And he's been sending up to them. They're reviewing it, and then we'll get back to them about how they're going to set the tuition rate for that. I think you all got an email from, I don't know, is all this public yet? Maybe I shouldn't go any further.
About personnel?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So, but that's where that's going to be, and so the special ed piece will be something around about the program for each student, but there will be one rate for the alternative ed piece as well. There are people who are continuing. Again, it's going to be sort of an interesting year just because it's a bifurcated system and how they're going to do that. But that seemingly is going to transition well. But this is the tuition rate's a new piece. But Jake seems, we're so lucky to have him because he really does know a lot of what's going on and is able to kind of continue and do these things. So it's been great. Let's see, the next, we talked about Raymond Choice. When they met, the select board met here a couple of weeks ago, they did indeed sign the deeds. So they're signed and sealed. Stacy wasn't sure if they've been delivered yet, but they're signed and sealed, and that's really good. They also talked about, and it's a little complicated, the Raymond Choice and the cost, it's called like the insured value, the tuition rate cost that has been a cost to the residents of Raymond, the taxpayers of Raymond. So we're not really quite sure where they are going to go with that. They've actually asked our attorney or us, the RSU. You were there. Maybe you could speak to this a little bit.
Well, when it was raised, we just said we would check into it, and so we have talked to Bill Stockmeyer. He's researching that. But ultimately, probably, the selectman's attorney would probably wanna pursue that at their end as well. So more to come on this.
I think they wanna charge the parents that difference. At this point, the Raymond taxpayer
So
is
it doesn't
paying.
impact us?
It will not impact us. What
Okay.
all we do as an RSU is that we bill,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we bill the schools and, or the bills, how does it, they bill, we pay the schools, they bill us, we pay them. And then if there's a difference between what our tuition rate is that the state gives us and what they charge, then we actually, as part of the assessment for Raymond, we assess them.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the year, we determined if they owe us more money or if we send them a check back. This year, it looks like we'll probably be sending them a check back, because we budgeted $60,000 and they only spent $35,000. So we already collected the 60, we'll have to send them a check back for the difference.
Okay.
And that's the piece that is, that we budgeted every year on that, what do we call, the community assessments, it always says the Raymond Choice Assessment. And that's the piece. They want to now charge the parents, it's unclear whether or not they can actually do that.
Okay.
They've asked us to look into it, I believe, and Bill will look into it, but it probably will be, our position is it's the town of Raymond's position to do this, it's not the RSU's.
Exactly, right.
But we don't know what that's gonna evolve and how that will evolve in terms of people seeing, you know, the impact of choice on the taxpayers.
They wanna charge the parents for the kids that go somewhere else?
Yes,
Okay.
that go to a private school that
Yeah,
had this
gotcha.
additional piece,
I
right?
just-
Not if they go to another public school, that would be
Right.
what we, that's agreed to in terms of what that would be, yes.
Okay, just wanted to clear.
And then, I had met with Jake the other day and we went through, and a little bit with Sandy, and we went through a PowerPoint. Every year we do a PowerPoint for the meeting next week, so we went through the PowerPoint before the meeting, and then we showed it to the rest of the committee who had some very good suggestions. And so we will have a PowerPoint next week that Jake and I will do together as, part of, our meeting. So next week, the 27th at Wednesday, 6:30, Wyndham High School is the public meeting on the budget. So we would like everyone to come and vote. Sandy, are the warrant articles,
Posted.
they're posted
Yeah.
on the website, so if anyone wants to see those beforehand, to look at the warrant articles, and we'll have that meeting on the 27th. I think that's it, yes?
You might have said this, but if you did,
Mm-hmm.
what are we prepaying?
Oh,
For the leases?
I can read the list. I didn't, copier lease, building entrance security upgrade lease, technology equipment lease, laptop lease, technology website filtering lease, primary school playground lease, and bus garage lease.
Everything except for essentially the buses, because there's no incentive to prepay those early.
Right. So
Okay.
everything else we have a lease on, so that's we've done that pretty much every
Right,
year.
right.
Again, Bill's list, and I will make sure that Stacy gets me this and gets sent on to all of you so you can see what it is. Some of these things that were already committed,
Mhm.
for next year, but we're gonna prepay it out of this year's, since we can do that.
Good, thank you.
What's the benefit to prepaying it? Regular leases, it's not simple interest. It's just getting it out, it's just buying it down.
Yes, exactly, that's right, yeah.
Does anybody else have
Any other
any other?
questions? Okay. No? And I will get these minutes out in the next 2 days.
Has the committee met?
Yes, and most of the discussion was about the smarter balance.
Tell everybody what committee you got.
Because,
No,
well,
sorry.
they're trying to make sure that each school.
Technology.
Yes, technology committee. And so they were worried about getting all the places up for testing, and they were doing one at a time, and it was going very well. And I guess even the text-to-speech part was going very well, so that kids could hit a button and hear the questions, so they didn't have to read it. And all the younger, it was all going well. Those guys, the Bob and Bob Show, do a very good job keeping up to all the bugs and all the little things that they've got to keep up. So it was one of the smoother meetings. Things seem to be going pretty smooth. Of course, it's the end of the year, right? They got some new laptops, some Google laptops that it was showing that they're looking at or whatever, but he's keeping an eye on what's out there and what's affordable and what's, what's happening.
Because Adult Ed is looking for new computers.
No, this was Bob just looking at for the district.
No, I know, but Adult Ed is also.
Oh, are they? Okay.
I didn't know if.
It
if
did not
you
get
guys-
mentioned. Nobody was representing Adult Ed at that particular
Okay.
day.
All right.
And I'll forward these out to you guys before I leave here today.
Okay. Are there any other, you guys I know have not met.
That's what it is,
Sandy, the strategic plan committee, do you have anything to report on that one?
Yes, we met last week. I think it was last week. And again, we have finalized the process to collect information from the communities on how they see our vision and how they want their schools to be in the future. In addition to that, actually Kate brought up the idea to pull out the old strategic plan and update the progress to date with that. So actually, we're going to come up with some type of chart like this that will really get to what Kate suggested for particularly also for people when we meet with the public, we can say, this is our strategic plan, this is what it means, and this is the work that has come out of it. As you know, in the hallway, we have the timeline, and somebody suggested that maybe we should share that with the public too as we collect information, because we want to make sure people understand the work within the district. So that was a suggestion. And I think that's pretty much what was discussed that day. And we'll probably have one more session and then take a break for the summer. But it's rolling along very well, and I'm optimistic that we'll meet the timeline. Hopefully by next springtime we should have a new strategic plan.
That one, is that the old one?
Which would be great for
Yeah.
everybody here to
Could-
have.
Yeah, because I don't think everybody has, this is the same one you
What's
just
that
showed
one?
us. I think same one you just showed.
The current,
The current one.
2010 to 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you send that out again to everybody?
Yeah, if I can't find that, I might be calling
Huh.
Kate. Well, we have different versions, so,
Oh,
yep, I'd be happy to do that. That's pretty much it.
on that.
Yep.
Okay. So do you have other stuff you'd like to share with us, Mr.
Yeah, I
Superintendent?
would. Thank you. So, a couple of announcements for awards from our students. This student goes to Westbrook Regional Technical Center, and congratulations goes to Gabe Scammon, who won the AAA troubleshooting contest for New England, and it was held in New Hampshire, and he got the highest score on the exam from any student in Maine, so he just really did a great job on that exam. And Gabe is an Auto Tech 2 student, as I said, at Westbrook Regional Technical Center. He also won a $3,000 scholarship and has a free ride to Central Maine Community College. So congratulations to Gabe, great work. Also congratulations to Adam Portress, who has been chosen to receive a $1,000 scholarship awarded by the National Association of Secondary School Principals to outstanding National Honor Society members. Adam has served as president of the Wyndham High School chapter, and he will be attending Northwestern University next year. Great work, Adam. Congratulations to Mady Morrow, who has tied for the first place equivalent to the state champ for the district-wide Lions Club Speak Out contest, and she won $500 for that award. So great work from some of our students. And just a couple important dates for perhaps parents and community members. The Spring Sports Awards Night is June 3rd at 6 p.m., and that's at the high school. Chamber Singers Concert, 7 p.m. on May 28th, and that would be at the Wyndham Performing Arts Center. Senior Awards Night is June 4th, 7 o'clock, and again, that's in the high school auditorium. And graduation is June 7th at 1:30, and this will be a year that we will have Congressman Angus King come to speak, and we're really excited to have him. We've had him once before come to the district on opening day, and I know you probably heard him speak, but he's very inspirational. And that is, the only other thing is the link should be in the hands of every taxpayer by this weekend. And particularly the spring link talks about the budget. So that's going out. And just, I think the board knows this, but the public should know that we hosted a symposium on proficiency diploma work and standards-based education. And we had several districts come to the high school last Friday with the University of Southern Maine. I think there were probably close to 100 educators there. And we had several of our staff speak and do presentations. And that was hosted by Jump Rope, because Jump Rope obviously wants to get their name out to the different schools who are working on this type of work. So I had a nice visit, was able to see the different presentations and had great feedback for that day event, and it was very cost effective, and it was just a great opportunity. So a lot of things going on, and it's been a great spring, and Don Davis is doing well, and we're cheering him on and look forward to having him come back. So that's about it.
Great. Sierra, did you want to say anything?
Well, just want everyone knows this is the seniors' last week of schooling. Next week will be their finals. And for all the underclassmen, tomorrow we are voting for our class council members. So, very exciting week at Wyndham High School.
Very, very antsy, right? Everybody's getting like,
Yeah.
oh, really on edge. Alrighty. Now we will have, there are no more committee reports. We will do a board roundtable, and Pete, do you have anything?
Sure. I would love to give a shout out to the 3rd grade chorus from Wyndham Primary School tonight. They had the privilege of performing the Star Spangled Banner at the Portland Sea Dogs game.
Nice.
Unfortunately for me, this is the 2nd year in a row that I've missed one of my daughters performing, but I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures, and I know they did a great job, so good for them.
Excellent. Good. Hey,
I just have a question, I don't need the answer tonight, about retirements, if we have staff and retiring, and if there is an event planned.
Oh, yes. There is, I'm trying to think of the date. It's early June, and we are honoring the teacher retirees or any staff member that would like to attend. And you should also know each school always does something as well. They always have a dinner retirement party, but as a district, we do this every year.
but we
So-
haven't seen it yet. We
You
usually
haven't
get an
received it?
invitation.
Nope.
We haven't received the invitation yet.
Okay, I'll
For
check on
some
that.
reason, I
We
thought,
should.
somehow I think I heard you say like the 1st, June 1st?
Something's a
kinda
first.
There's a
slow.
top 10 dinner.
That's the 31st.
Yeah, that's for
isn't
the,
it?
that's
Well,
the.
you know, it's a meal,
Yeah.
so.
We will get that out to you.
There's a reason why
We
you
do
haven't been
usually get
invited.
some of that, we don't know. Okay. Anything else, Kate?
Oh, that's funny, I got an invitation.
I just was curious, because normally
We do.
Yeah.
Jen?
No.
All set? Terry?
What time do we need to be at graduation?
Starts at 1:30. You, with the Old Port Festival, you should.
It's not the same weekend, I
Oh,
thought,
it's
this
not.
year.
This year, it's a different week. I was
Oh.
so
Different
happy when I
weekend.
heard
Okay.
they,
Yeah.
I
that
would
was
still get
different.
there early if you want to get in the parking garage. Be there by 1 easily, and the traffic going into Portland can take longer. So just prepare for that.
I would also like to give a shout out to my wonderful daughter Molly, who graduated from the Boston Conservatory on Saturday, magna cum laude. So I'm very proud of her. So, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theater, acting emphasis. Just thought I'd give the shout out there. Good for you.
You should. That's awesome.
Good for you. You all said Sierra?
I
Eric?
have nothing tonight.
Diana?
I can't think of anything.
Last night.
Oh, we were at we did do something last night. You know, we're out so often. Last night, Marge and I and Sandy attended closing ceremonies for the JMG students. That was at the auditorium. And it was very, very nice. Dave Barang did an awesome job. He spoke about each student, so you can just tell he's just fully invested and genuinely cares about each of those students. And I think they had about 6 students graduating.
Mm.
So, very, very lovely evening.
Yep, it's a great program. It really is, and of course, there's a lot of, as public is probably not aware, but we are aware because we get invited to everything. But we have the graduation from the real school coming up. The graduation from adult ed is also coming up. Both technical schools had theirs last week. Westbrook will be having their awards ceremony. I have to whip my calendar. But anyway, I didn't really make note because it was a conflict with another one.
The Alliance School has.
In the Alliance, yeah,
Yeah.
the Alliance School. So there are a lot of end of year things going on. I guess the best thing to do is go on the school website and just go through. I'm sure you'll find it there. Are you still tweeting on there?
Yeah, once in a while.
And yeah, and he tweets every now and then, which is cool. I don't know, not for me. I'm sorry, I'm not good at it at all. And I think that is kind of it. We get to see our seniors one more time at graduation because they will be out of school. The high school will be a lot quieter now because the seniors are gone. They're very, very on edge at the moment with all the stuff going on, I'm sure. But anyway, that's basically all I have on that. Okay. We're ahead of schedule, which is always good. So I will take a motion to go into an executive session on the superintendent's goals.
I move that we go into executive session to discuss the superintendent's goals to pursuant to 1 MRSA 405, 6 and A, and not return to the regular meeting.
Second.
Take your pick. Whatever. All those in favor? It is unanimous. We will not be returning from executive session. Thank you very much.